You are now listening to the Keith Ferrante podcast, hosted by the one and only Keith Ferrante.
Yo, Keith Ferrante here. How are you doing? What is God doing in you? I'm so excited to continue the conversation that we've been having the last few weeks about friendship, right out of my book, Friendship, Where Transactions End and True Connection Begins. You can get this right on Amazon, and there's a link in the feed so you can just real easily find it there and share it and let someone else read it too, especially someone you want to be a friend with, and it'll help diagnose your relationships. A lot of people have been reading this and getting some real breakthrough and getting some real clarity on things. And I've been going through different chapters. I want to jump into chapter 2 and right out of the book Friendship. And I talked last time about loneliness really was the doorway to friendship. And before you can really have true friends, you got to kind of realize where you don't have friends and who isn't a friend. And this chapter is called When Is It Friendship and When Is It Business? And when I was some of the stories that I talked about in here was when I was traveling, and I had at that point I hadn't yet become an entrepreneur, and so I had different business guys that were sponsors to me, and we call them patrons, and that was something that we learned as an itinerant. There's people that would give you $20 a month, and there's people that would give you a couple $100 to $500 a month. Those are your patrons. And remember, one of my mentors would say, Keith, you need to make sure to keep connected with them on a monthly basis, and especially those people that are going to support at a bigger level. And that's a legitimate way of doing a nonprofit. And I've seen different people of all sorts have that same kind of thinking. If people are going to support you, they want to feel connected. I remember even my grandpa early in, he would tell me about a minister. He supported that minister like I do to international leaders. And he would call my grandpa every once in a while. They would talk on the phone. My grandpa was he had these stories he shared, and he seeded me with these cool stories. And so it worked. My grandpa seemed very fulfilled in that exchange of connection where he was sowing into this man's ministry, and this man was giving him little reports here and there, and that was fine. But the whole point of the friendship book is we got to recognize what's friendship and what's transaction. That's more of a transaction. It can feel very caring. You can have a conversation with someone and it feels caring. And maybe let's just say both parties are absolutely pure. The person giving the money, the person doing the work. Let's just say both of those that's pure, because sometimes it might not be. But let's just say that we're dealing with two people that are doing that in a very pure-hearted, loving Jesus way, serving the Lord. That's great. But let's not put that in the friendship category. That's where God had to kind of bring me to the end of. Because I think sometimes people would give me dollars and we would hang out. I'd even stay at their house. It was fulfilling. I like being around business people. I always did. I work with business people now, and there's something God put in my heart as a mandate for business people. I help them get breakthrough, and I love that. But it was like, I think if we put friendship on the top of that, and we thought we were friends, but I didn't realize that we were actually transactionally relating. We were friendly. We talked. We prayed. We talked about different parts of our life, them, us. But at the end of the day, there came some times where we recognized the strings. There were strings there. They expected something from us because they were giving us money, and we were trying to produce life for them and insights, and because we knew that was our dollars. So it became a mixed up, non-pure eventually, and some of those relationships ended badly. And I'd come finally to the end of that. I said, you know what? This is not the way. Even though this was the way that some of my mentors were telling me, this is the way, and this is all I knew. This is all that was out there as a form of ministry, was this way. This is how you get your money. And I said, there's got to be a different way than this. I don't know what it is, but I'm not doing this anymore. I am not going to relate to business guys for their dollars. They're not going to be my dollars. in a donor fashion. I need to catch their grace, if anything. I need to catch their mindset of entrepreneurship, not their dollars. And they need to catch my mindset around hearing God and breakthrough rather than prophecy itself. So I kind of had to come to the end. And I just want to say that before you can really begin to have true friends, you got to come to the end of any sort of things like this. Alliances that you're calling it friendship, but you really want something from somebody, or they want something from you. And so you're trying to be friendly to get it. Maybe it's a boss, maybe it's a business guy, maybe it's a pastor, maybe you're the pastor or the business guy, and you're trying to connect with people for stuff, or vice versa. It's like, okay, stop relating that way. And for me, I had to have enough pain where it finally got me to realize there's got to be a better way. And I'm around all sorts of pastors, leaders, business people that are still transactionally relating. They're still trying to get something from people. They're still trying to figure their way. How do I get this? And you can see it now. I can see it. There's this thing. It's like, I need to be friendly to this person. I need to stay connected to this person because I need their dollars. I need their connection. I need their influence. I need their open doors. I need whatever it is. But it's like, now that I look at it, I'm like, okay, that's dirty. That's not clean. That's not God's heart. I remember even back then when I was in that mode, which was all I knew, I was trying to stay pure. There would be times I'd be around biz guys that say, no, God, this is not my money. You're my money. I'm not going to try to get them to be my financer. Even though I had favor with them, but I was always wrestling internally to try to stay pure. But so even if you're trying to stay pure, there's still like these landmines. And so for me, it was like, nope, I'm done with relating that way. I'm not going to relate to people like that. I'm going to be their friend. And I want to be a genuine, caring person when I'm around business people, when I'm around pastors. So what I made that decision. So you have to make a decision that you're tired of the way you have related if you're going to get to true friendship. The enemy of true friendship is this transactional friendship. It will actually keep you, it will continually hurt you. And so many people say, oh yeah, I got lots of friends. I say, oh, let me test you. Let me test those friends and see if they're genuine friends or if they all want something. Scripture gives a lot of illustrations in Proverbs and this and this. It's like, hey, a rich man has many friends. A poor man knows no friends. Like, so there's all these kind of scriptures that talk about that, and even when you're around a rich person, put a knife to your throat if you want their stuff. So it's like there's all these warnings around wanting people's stuff and trying to use friendship to get that. And I think it's if we just need to get clean from that. But we have to realize, okay, this is friendship, this is business. If I'm going to do business, no problem, that's fine. We all need to make our money. So if you're going to make your money, do it in a nice way. Be friendly, but don't try to say that it's friendship when it's just being friendly because you want something from somebody. Just recognize you're using like a set of skills to it's like business people. Sometimes they go play golf before they do a deal. Sometimes they go wine and dine someone, put them at a nice hotel. I remember when I was going to be a youth pastor at a nice church in San Diego when I lived in Northern Cal, they wine and dine me to the best restaurants and showed me the best beaches, showed me the best shopping. That's being friendly to try to seal a deal. That's not true friendship. And you've got to be able to see through that and see the real. What is the real? That's where we need to relate. I eventually came to the end. It's like, I'm going to relate to people. So for friendship, I'm going to find who my true friends are. So when I would go out to eat with business guys, I'd pay my own way. And I never used to do that. And sometimes I go with business guys and they wanted to go to the really nice restaurants. And I was still trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur myself, and it was costly. And sometimes it'd be like, no, I'm paying for the whole thing. I need to pay for the whole thing. So I'm not just paying my own way to stay clean and keep the lines clean, that you're not my money. Let's just see if we can be friends. But then I was like, I want to pay because I want to break a poverty spirit. So I was just assaulting this thing, and it hurt, but it was good for me because I'm like, it's in my heart. And don't do that just because you can use it as a tactic. Let me pay your way to act like something. No. Some people try to pay. Most of the time, I will pay. I was just in a nation. It was very costly. I paid my way, even though they were offering to pay. I said, no, I'm paying. Why? Because it's a protection for me. I then have I can leave whenever I want to leave. And many times people would put me in a hotel and then they would expect stuff from me. I said, no, I'm paying my own way. Or I can leave when I want to leave. I've just found a power in that, in like being clean. But so I think you have to kind of cut that unhealthy scenario. And there was just so many areas that I was finding that I was. I thought I was searching for friends, but people were just relating to me as a prophet, a preacher, someone that had intel, someone could bring a breakthrough. And I was, in my mind, internally looking for friends for many years. And I remember once I was going out to this church, and I would go out there, a few times, maybe once or twice a year. And it was a good church. I liked it. I liked the pastor. I liked their team. We always had a good time. We had a good time in the Holy Spirit. We had some great encounters with God. And I remember always being frustrated that the pastor was so hard to respond to texts. I was doing way more texting than he was. And I know that that's a part of my business model back then. And like connecting with the pastors, you had to stay in touch with them. How are you doing? I'm praying for you. Really sensing something from the Lord for you. And that's all fine. That's a part of a marketing strategy, really, in business, and there's nothing evil with that. But I remember going to the church, and they were having some staff problems. And the pastor said, hey, can you help me deal with this staff problem I have with my son-in-law? That would be really great. And or like maybe my son and daughter-in-law. I think it was son and daughter-in-law. If you could help solve this problem, they are just in a disconnection with me, I would be so appreciative. And I thought to myself, I said, you know what? I will do that, but will you start being a little bit more relational and texting me just to see how I'm doing? Even me doing that sounds kind of funny now, but in reality, what I was subconsciously not even knowing I was needing was friendship. But my only way of trying to find it was with the pastor guy, and he really wasn't interested in friendship. He was interested in me being a preacher, coming and adding value to his church, and that was it. But I had him in the wrong category. I didn't learn the categories till later. I was trying to put him in friend category. In reality, we were friendly, but he and me in like a ministry category. And it was like, so I said, okay, yes, I'll do that. And I went and I ministered to his staff member, and I had a talk with them about their relationship with the pastor. And then when I started hearing stuff from them on all the pastor was doing to them, and I know there's two sides of the story, and I was like, okay, I can't just try to say, you need to do what the pastor says. That's not right. They have a relational disconnection. And all I just suggested to them was they go have a chat with the pastor, they work out their issues, and they talk through some of their hurts, and they try to heal. I was trying to build a bridge and bring a reconciliation. Well, they ended up going to the pastor and just blasting him, saying some very hurtful stuff to him, and it just totally broke the connection. Well, then the pastor was mad at me, and he didn't talk to me for like a year. So what I wanted in friendship got even worse. And I remember seeing him at one of these leaders' meetings, and he said, can I talk to you? And I said, sure. And we talked, and he's like, did you set my son up and daughter-in-law up to come and just blast me with hurtful words? I said, never. Of course I would never do that. I told him to come and humbly have a conversation, share their heart, try to reconcile, try to begin. Oh, okay. And then he said, okay, you're right. All right. But even back then, I was trying for friendship, and it just made it worse because I was going through a transactional door, and the pastor was just wanting to relate as a transaction, exchange of goods. That's what a transaction is. You be the minister, I'll give you an offering, like we're exchanging goods here, and we'll be friendly. We love each other. And I think this one of the challenging things is we, under the guise of friendship and family, we hear that language a lot in Christian circles. I'm family, we're family, but I begin to realize you and I have to begin to recognize what true family is and what friendship is versus what transaction is. Bless you guys on the journey. Hey, don't forget, share this. Let someone else know about this video or podcast, and get the book. Link is in the feed below, and we'll look forward to chatting with you soon. Peace.